Hello, 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 everyone. What is going on? James here, and the man, the myth, is back. William from LOTW Studios.
Hello.
So, I don't think I asked this question this time, but I need to know, man. How did you and Penta meet?
um, well, I think it was when I first got into brick filming. I At one point I discovered bricks in motion. I think it was like 2015, and I think it was around the same time that I actually came across Penta's YouTube channel, and he did a brick film called, I think it's called the Thief, and it was like it wasn't like a normal like minifigure brick film, but it was like
It was a big figure running
yeah,
around, and then it got flattened the police car.
yeah. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. So I subscribed to his channel, and then once I joined Bricks in Motion, I started like going on to like the group chat. Um, I noticed that Penta was actually like one of the main kind of people there. I was like, oh yeah, I started talking to him. I think I was saying about like how much I loved that film, and yeah, I think because I just sort of like I was always just in the old days. I was always just active with whoever most like who was ever like most active within the chat. And I think I talked to him quite a bit because I really liked the like Benny and Lee films, and it was around the time that he was making Parallel Panic. It was like, you know, sort of like how Tucker Trouble 2, took quite a lot, took quite a long time to make. That was like the big thing he was making then.
Yeah.
So, I was kind of like asking him about that and stuff. And yeah, eventually I think we just kind of kept chatting.
Sick. How did you come up with the start a podcast then, and like getting him on, and you and Raphael starting it originally?
So that kind of was based on basically I did this the World of Brick Films like timeline series, and from that I did like a with Penta. He helped because obviously being like the encyclopedia of brick films, he helped with like what brick films to include. And it was basically a timeline series. It was two parts. One was from like 1973 to I think 2008, and then the second part was like 2009 onwards. And that did really well. And I got a lot of like comments, people saying that they discovered brick films that they'd like, never seen before. And it kind of I really like the idea of like doing it in a kind of almost like a podcast form where we would just like showcase different brick films and get them sort of like get them seen basically. And I've always just really liked the idea of having content that's outside of just the brick films themselves. I always think it's really essential to just communities in general to have content that's outside of just the actual thing, because I think what keeps people kind of like what keeps people staying within the brick film community is not really the brick films themselves, but it's like everything on top of the brick films, because
Yeah.
if I'm being like perfectly honest, like making brick films, it's something that you only really do. I mean, unless you're like Edbound, it's only something that you do like a couple of times a year, if that. And it's quite hard. Sometimes you just don't feel motivated to like make anything for a long while. So to feel like you can still be active in the community, and just interact with people, even without outside of just making the brick films themselves, is a really nice thing. And I just really like talking to people, like within the community and stuff. And I think the podcast is much bigger than I kind of anticipated it would be. I kind of just wanted to do it for myself mostly, but people just kept like coming, and it didn't seem as though the views were going down. Like they kind of like, it was because it was so orientated towards the guests, things would always stay, like it wasn't just like a downward spiral down, views wise. So there was kind of like that incentive to just keep going, and people. I mean, I just kind of thought, yeah, let's just continue for as long as people, enjoy listening to it, basically.
Yeah, I mean, the unique thing with your podcast is that, and I know other brick filming podcasts do it as well, but like, if you look at the True Geordies podcast, the What's Good podcast, Waffling with Joe Weller, Impulsive, you'll see that they just have the big wigs on. You have to have probably 500,000 subs upwards or 1 million subs upwards to get on them podcasts or be famous, be an elite celebrity, etc., etc. But with brick filming, you can have like 200 subs and come on the World of Brick Films or Frame 100 or Brick Filmers Guild. You can get on any of it and you can have a really, really in-depth conversation. It's not something that's for views and like, oh, I want to become the next Joe Rogan off of this. It's just passionate things and passionate conversations about a very niche thing, but it's still quite interesting because I think I've said to you before, how there isn't a lot like brick filmers. They do sort of tend to, well, they don't put their life on show like vloggers do. So your podcast is a good way to sort of get to know them a bit. Because I mean, if Mind Game or Forest Fire or Chihuahua or whoever started picking up a camera and going, "Hey guys," blah, 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 I'd be a bit like, "What the hell's going on?" But them coming on and having a genuine, natural conversation with you and Penta is just really, really fun to watch, well, and listen to.
Yeah, I mean, what's the thing as well? Like, it's one of the interesting things about like the brick filming community is that, like, I guess like value within, or I don't say value, but like, I guess the way people, like the way like individual brick filmers are kind of seen, and like the kind of like, I guess like the hype around them. It's not really much to do with the actual like, yeah, say like the views or subscribers. They like, you said like there's some people that have like 200 subscribers that, and you can have a really like in-depth, interesting conversation with them, and they're kind of like, they can still be like valued members of the brick filming community, even if they're not like the biggest. I mean, I'm not like the biggest myself, but that's one of the things as well I really like about having, I really like to do, I have like a variety of different guests. Like sometimes we'll have someone who's very much, currently really popular, like someone like Ed Bounds or like, or Forest Fire, who's kind of just always been pretty popular. But then you've also got like people who are, well, I guess like relatively, relatively newer as well, and I guess people who have just been around for like years, like Smeagol and that kind of thing.
I'm surprised because when he went on the podcast, and I've seen him quite a bit in the Bricks in Motion chat and all that stuff, and you guys talked about him a bit before. I was surprised that he hadn't made a brick film in years. I was like, man. And then obviously seeing him on the podcast with some of his films from like 2009 and 10. There was this Star Wars competition one, and I swear his film was like set on Tatooine. It was a flying ship, and I was like, considering this was done years and years ago, this is phenomenal. It's just kind of sad to see him not do any more like brick films in ages. But I suppose people have their own lives. But you just, I respect that people have stuff to get on with. But I just think to myself, man, imagine if they was doing the brick films now, how ahead of the game they'd be. They'd be making some next level films. But at the same time, it doesn't always work out like that, like Fancy Pants, his stuff was next level for 2009, 2010, and a little bit of 2008. But, his stuff in 2015 and 2017 and all that jazz and 2014 is still great, but it's not like, it's not far off, don't get me wrong, animation-wise and editing-wise, but he hasn't made enough brick films to be like on the same level as Mind Game, Forest Fire, or Keshan, or Chihuahua, or Brotherhood Workshop.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was like people like Smeagol. I think he's quite an interesting example because he's kind of like somebody who actually got into going into like the actual film industry, like live action film. And I think he's very busy actually working on like live action projects and working with clients and stuff. So I think that's probably like one of the main reasons why he's kind of shifted away from brick filming. But yeah, I mean, it is quite interesting actually seeing a lot of the people that are, even some that are still quite active, like Chihuahua go into doing stuff that's really quite, you know, I guess they're kind of like they're doing stuff that a lot of like younger, more aspiring brick filmers like they want to kind of like get to that level, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think like
Yeah.
Chihuahua, he's I think I mentioned before we started recording, like he's actually done like graphics for like The Strokes, and I think he did one for a music video for Dua Lipa. He did some of the graphics for that. So like being able to do something like that is just phenomenal. And it's inspiring to see that. And it's kind of one of the sort of things like I think we'd all love to get to that level.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. It depends what you want out of brick filming. Some people just want to do it for a laugh. Some people might want to do it as a job. But other people, you know, they do it and then they open up other opportunities. They graft at this thing, and then like Chihuahua, you know, he'd probably be talented anyway, even if he didn't do brick filming. But I feel like doing stuff like brick filming, practicing all that editing and all the graphics and all that jazz, that that mate reassures to yourself that you're good and that you can do this stuff. And when you've got a hobby like that, when you're doing some like graphics and editing and all that jazz, it's sort of you're not doing it because you have to, or because you're like, oh, I want to. You know, you're not forcing yourself to do it. It sort of starts off as a hobby, and then you prove that you're good enough to yourself, and then you're like, oh, I'm really good. And then you know the bigger people want you. I mean, Dua Lipa's high level. You know, the Strokes are high level, and to be doing stuff for them is just great. And I mean, I wasn't knocking Smeagol or anything for not doing any brick films in ages. I was just thinking to myself, like, man, he could be on another level. You know, if he kept doing it, but he's doing what he wants to do, and fair play, you know, the film industry and all that jazz. Has he worked on many big films or like amateur films or decent level or?
I mean, he's done a lot of like films that are like his own projects that he's kind of like spearheaded. I think you know, like short films and stuff, and I think he's like got them sort of into like film festivals and stuff. I don't know, like, are you familiar with his brick film, My Father's a Tyrannosaurus Rex?
I heard you guys talk about it on the podcast, but
Yeah.
no, I don't really know.
He did a live action adaptation of that film.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, so he's done quite a few films, I think,
That's
as well as
cool.
just documentary as well and stuff.
Fairs. I was going to ask, man. I don't have a lot of other people on who are like podcasters or like host a podcast or a part of a podcast. Really, I mean, some of them have like. Well, actually, no. Thinking about it, no, not many of my guests have got their own podcast who have been on before. So, like, what do you prefer, being like the person who's interviewed and come being a guest, or like interviewing people and them coming on your podcast?
Well, it's quite it's quite funny because it's funny kind of seeing like this is kind of like what it's like when every time I'm interviewing people. It's kind of like seeing it from their perspective. I mean, I enjoy both. It's you know, like I mean, I love doing the podcasts. I think sometimes there is a little fear. I think I worry about it when I'm just before doing a podcast and like doing, you know, like my own podcast. I feel like there's sort of like nervous feeling of like what if I like can't find anything to say, or you know, something like that. And as soon as we start, it's like, oh wait, yeah. I mean, you know, you kind of like have like a warm up, and you just kind of like talk to them before you start recording, and it's like, actually, no, this is fine. I'm not having to like, yeah, it's just getting all right, you know. But I guess I don't really necessarily feel that as much when I'm just a guest, because I don't know. I can always just find something to. I don't know. I guess both ways. There is some pressure. Like you have to be a good guest, or you have to be a good host. You know, you have to kind of bounce off each other, don't you? You know.
That's actually a really cool point you made, because I thought you was originally going to say like, I'm nervous about coming on other people's stuff because they might ask something ridiculous, or they might, I don't know. Not like obviously the brick filming community isn't going to stitch anyone up. I'm not going to. You went on the Met Enthusiast podcast. He's not going to stitch you up in it. And if anyone does stitch anyone up on their podcast, they're wasting their own time and they look absolutely stupid trying to stitch people up or stir the pot. So in any way, shape, or form. So what you said about makes sense, but like personally, I don't know, man. I just feel like, oh, what if they ask me something like really personal? Or I suppose you can always just say, oh, next question. Because the thing is, with being host, I don't really. I don't always. I mean, you worry a bit because it's like I've never talked to this person before, blah blah blah. Or like where you might have talked to them, like say if you message them loads and you get them on the podcast, or like you ask, "Oh, do you want to come on?" and they're like, "Yeah," and then you start to, like every time I've had some great conversations with people. So there's bound to be one guest I get on where it's really awkward, or they're just a tit. I mean, I'm so thankful that every single guest I've got on so far, everyone's been easy to talk to, and none of them have been a tit. It's only an amount of time before I get a tit on. And I mean, the thing is though, I'm not like desperate for people. I'm not going to be like, oh please come on, please, because usually like tits, they're like, oh, I'm not going to come on. I'm not wasting my time with this. I nearly did get a bad person on who I'm not going to say who it is. It's no one in the brick filming community. It's a totally different thing. But basically, this guy who still has 3,000 odd subs. He was like, I said, "Oh, do you want to come on?" And he was like, "Yeah, I will do." And then he kept pulling out. And then after the third time he pulled out, I just said, just leave it for ages, man. It doesn't matter. And I didn't ask him again. But anyway, months and months later, he'd done a ton of bad shit. Really, like he'd been very, 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 very nasty to people in the community he was in. And I'm like, bloody hell. I was literally like, thank God I didn't have him on. Jeez, that would have been so awful. But yeah, I mean, what you said was interesting, to be fair, as I say.
I mean, one thing I've always felt, and especially like in the earlier episodes, was that there were so many technical issues that happened, and I think I wasn't like particularly that technically skilled in terms of like how. Like I've come to like, because I think every podcast is different. You get used to like how you run things, and because there's no right or wrong way to do it. Well, there are one ways of doing it, but no like just like right way of doing it. But basically, I kind of like, a lot of it was just kind of like continuing to just work on them until I really got used to the formula that I did, the way I edited it, the way I recorded it, and all that kind of stuff. And I think one thing I've always felt, especially in the old days, was that I'm really glad it's not live, because I always remember like the old back when I was first doing it, the main thing I was kind of like, the main podcast I was sort of drawing off, as well as the Brick Filmers Guild, was the Frame 100 podcast, and they used to actually record them live, and I just felt like, in that kind of situation, like if you like I mean, luckily we've always had some really great guests, but like if you had like a guest who was harder to get harder to get questions out of, and maybe not used to like being on podcasts or whatever, you could edit it so that it feels a little less stilted and a little less awkward, whereas I think if it's live, it's like, I just couldn't. I just have too much. I'd be too nervous to do that.
I don't blame you, man. Because to be honest, like there's been. I mean, we do live streams, but the majority of people I do live streams with, I trust them not to act daft on a live stream.
Yeah.
The one dude who's on the live streams, George, absolute legend, great friend of mine. But I do get a bit nervous sometimes. He doesn't say anything awful, and he pretends like he's going to say something bad, but then he doesn't, and it's just a weird, edgy joke. But sometimes I do get a bit nervous. But I mean, there have been times when, very, very, very rarely, but one guest once said something like a bit, I don't know, I just didn't want it in the podcast, and I just stopped the podcast, and I was like, bro, chill out a bit. He wasn't angry, but I was just like, don't say this sort of stuff, please. And I re-edited it and like got that out. But if that was live, I would have been like, there'd be nothing I could do. It wouldn't have got anyone in trouble or anything. But it was something I just didn't want in the podcast. And there was something I've said before in podcasts, and I've been like, oh man, I'm glad I edited that out. I sort of like took a few jabs at a YouTuber's who's only slightly chubby, but I said like, this person won't be able to run fast. Because I said, but it originally started with a comment. I was like, I've followed this YouTuber into battle. I love them to bits. They're a legend. And then I said, actually, no, I won't be able to follow them because they wouldn't be that fast at running because they got a bit of weight. And I was just joking. But then, like, the guest was like, oh, we should get rid of this. And I was like, you're right, man. That's just not very nice. But
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I think it's like, I don't know. It's quite. I find the whole like, yeah. Again, I mean, it's different if you trust the people you're with, but like, if you're like with a new guest or someone you don't really know that well, and if even if you could say something, you could slip up, and I think it's quite, obviously it's different when you've only got like a small following, but like when you continue to grow, gradually, and it's like, if you say everything you say kind of like it stays there, it stays online, and it's just like, yeah, I got to be careful what you say, really,
yeah,
just,
thing is, even if you if you upload it, it only takes even if you only have like 2 viewers, it only takes that one person who's like, oh, they said this one thing, they slipped up, I'm gonna ruin their life now, or well, not ruin their
yeah,
life, but like I'm gonna share this about they said this one thing, and usually people wouldn't react to it or wouldn't care, but like it could ruin things, and you just said one little thing which isn't a big deal. But mind you, though, there are some big YouTubers who have said some like anything I've said and all got rid of, I could have said it and I wouldn't be cancelled. I wouldn't be in much trouble. I just prefer it not to be in there. But there's some YouTubers who say like bloody hell next level stuff, and you just think, what the hell is going on? What is going through their head? But I suppose as they're like next level celebrities, and some of them are celebrities very young. Because the thing is with YouTube, there is a little bit of ego involved. Well, especially high level YouTubers and the type of content they make, like putting their lives on show. Like creative content people like Forrest and any other brick filmer who's big, or animators, or people who create short films. That some of them, I'm sure some of them have big egos, but some of them, a lot of them are probably just doing this because they love doing it. But YouTubers who put their lives on show, they're like, I mean, bloody hell, especially ones who put their families on show, man. I think there's something wrong in the head. Why would you want to have your kid running around on YouTube and for the whole world to see and millions of other kids watch and know who they are?
yeah,
It seems kind of worrying to me, and you're sort of ruining your own kid's life because they're not going to have a normal life. They're going to be bombarded by other people, and I don't care how headstrong you are. If you're getting harassed, and it can be positive harassment, like people can be like, "I love you, I love you, I love you," but that's got to be annoying in public. Imagine going to eat and everyone's surrounding you saying, "I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you," selfie, 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 constantly. It's
yeah.
like,
I mean, that's the thing. It's kind of like, I often think about it, but like I like being famous uh must be quite a strain, just in general. And it's one of the things that's quite nice about like being in a niche like brick filming is that
yeah,
you kind of get the positive side of being known, but
mm-hmm.
within the community. But like outside of that, you're not like someone you're not gonna put someone on the street is not gonna like know who you are. You can just be anonymous. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like I don't
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the idea of like because I can imagine how it must feel for like someone's got like millions of subscribers, like just going shopping, and then someone stares at them, you think, oh, right, okay, yeah, they must know who I am, all the
yeah.
time. Just you'll always be kind of like aware that people gonna know who you are.
Yeah, that is a cracking point, man. I mean, I remember on the first one we did sort of say like, oh, famous people, they just get lucky, blah blah. A lot of them aren't. Well, not everyone, but there's quite a few who really aren't talented. But at the same time, you do have to feel for them. But also on the other side of the coin, they made that choice to be famous, and also there are like the other dude in Wham, not George Michael, the other dude. He from 81 to 91, he was making the music and la 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 and all that awesomeness. But he left. He went and moved to Cornwall. I'm pretty sure he left the fame life, but then George Michael, he stayed in the fame life, and I'm not going to go into it. He's a good guy who did a lot for charity, but anyone who's listening to this, do some research. He was he did some strange stuff, and that's probably because he was so famous for all those years, and he made that choice to stay in that life. But what I'm saying is that life isn't necessarily good. I think you should do what you want to do creatively, and you should, as soon as the creative fun wears off, then you should just leave. You should just leave. Like if I was Eminem, after I went to rehab, I would have thought, you know what? I made a shit ton of good rap songs from '96 to 2005. I might as well just hop on the horse and ride off into the sunset now. What's the point? Or if I was like George Michael, I would have been like, yeah, I might as well copy my bandmate and move to Cornwall, you know, because like once you've done everything you can do creatively, I mean, what the hell is the point? There are some people who have great longevity like Queen, but with anything you do, your best stuff doesn't last forever unless you really, really love doing it. There's not a lot of point in just stick. Well, if you're just sticking around for the fan, there's not much point. I mean, look at those dudes on Love Island who sadly ended up topping themselves because they went from going on Love Island, everyone loving them, everyone thinking they're the best thing ever, to then no one caring about them. No one's bothered. But the thing is, anyone who goes on reality shows usually is just in it for the fan. There's no creativeness in just chilling there and being like, oh, how's it going, lad? You know, hello, how's it going? Oh, yeah, I'm the best ever. Oh, I've won Big Brother. Way, you know, there's nothing creatively satisfying about that, really, unless you want to sort of promote something else you're doing. But
yeah, like you want to a variety show and go like, watch one of Brickman's podcasts.
Yeah. Everyone, get over to William's channel and the Jurassic Brick ones. I know I've said that this to you already, man, but you guys was just on point in that one. That was absolutely fucking sick. I'm not even gonna lie. It's like there wasn't any like specific moment where I was like, oh my god, this is like the most amazing thing of all time. But for the whole of it, I was engaged, and that's very rare when I'm listening to a podcast. And I kept wanting to listen to more. I usually have podcasts on, like, just have my headphones in when I'm eating my tea. But this time I was like, oh man, I just want to keep listening to this Jurassic one, you know. Because he just seemed like, it's partly because of him, because he's such a nice, genuine guy. And he's just got such a passion for brick films. And I just loved some of the things that he was saying, man. Like how he was like, I want to be better than Michael Hickok. I'm like, man, that is, I know it sounds a little bit like mean and, I want to be better than this person. But he meant it in like, I want to get to his level and then exceed, you know. That was the gist I got from it anyway.
Yeah. You know, he was a great guest. And I think it's, I mean, it's kind of one of the cliches that I think, but one of the things that we just end up just almost always saying, like every episode is like, once we finished, we kind of feel like, wow, that was a good episode. You know, it's like every episode we feel that way, you know, it's kind of funny. And, when I get onto to do the editing it, I'm editing the next one now, and it's like, as I'm listening through, I'm really just generally really enjoying it, because it's like it's different when you're recording. It's a different experience to like when you're actually like listening to it. Like you listen back to it for the first time, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm really engaged in this. You kind of forget what you said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, you put like mad effort in some of the editing, like getting all the footage up and all the bits, and then obviously putting in the links in the description. Like all I do on ALP is just maybe edit some bits and pieces and just upload it. But obviously they're different podcasts, they get different vibes. But I really respect the effort you put in. And I remember in the tutorial one, the podcast tutorial, you said like you go through and edit out loads of them, quiet bits or whatever, like when there's no sound or if something's happened. So I think that's quite cool because you have like 3 different layers of audio because everyone records their audio separately, which there's some advantages and some disadvantages. Obviously, the advantage is that everything sounds crystal clear and perfect. But the disadvantage is time. It takes a lot of time to get them all together, I suppose, and it's a bit of hassle. But that's why every episode probably comes out as a good episode because you take that extra time.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it does take quite a while. The actual sound editing parts aren't too bad, but yeah, I think all of it put together, it ends up being quite a long process. Actually, with the last episode, I actually managed to get Chris Wynn, the community admin of Bricks and Motion, to actually do the editing, the video editing.
Awesome.
So I sent him the link to the like the behind the scenes video, and also just kind of like also just like explained some of the process I go through, and he was able to edit it pretty much the same as I do. Actually, he did a really good job.
Did he do the he did the Jurassic Bricks one, didn't he? Because you said on Bricks in Motion that like he'll be helping edit now.
Yeah, I think we'll kind of like take it in turns.
Alternating.
It's like because obviously like now we're going to go by a much more consistent schedule.
Yeah.
like at least once a month, which I'm actually really looking forward to because it's something we used to do. But then as with like university and stuff, I just last couple of years I just haven't been able to do it. But with now that we've got like like Chris helping with the editing and stuff, it does mean that it doesn't take anything to just record an episode, but like the lengthy process can be done while I'm studying and stuff, and so it's really good. Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, when you did the what's his name? It's BP Animations, isn't it? And obviously, I know James Carwood.
Yeah.
When you did that one, I was like, man, like there wasn't like it was with the World of Brick films. It's like there's the podcasts are good in different ways, if that makes sense. Like each podcaster, like the Jurassic Brick one, just seemed consistent, and I was engaged. Like but the BP Bricks one and James Carwood, that just seemed like four friends chilling and having a laugh.
Yeah.
Which it just seemed like really chilled out and a laugh. And then you looked at all the was it the Thax or the Brawl? It was the Brawl, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you looked at all the brawls, which was really cool. Have you done that before on previous podcasts, looking at the brawl?
Yeah, so I think the first time we did the brawl, I think it was Brawl 2018, and so we kind of just like continued from there. I think I kind of took it from the Film and Hunter podcast because they used to do like the top 10 of Thack and Brawl, and I kind of thought it'd be quite good. A kind of good like version of like the showcase and just do like a whole like because obviously it's what people want to listen to it, so like hearing us talk about like new films and that kind of stuff. And obviously like the Film 100 podcast at the time, they weren't actually like active. They kind of taking hiatus, so I kind of thought, well, I can kind of do what they would have done, but then I just continued doing it because I really enjoyed it, and I think it's like that's what I did with the summer contest then in 2018, and then I think I did the Thack of 2019, and again I've continued doing the brawls. I actually forgot to do. I did get around to recording a brawl, a Thack 2020 because again I was just like studying and just didn't have time. So.
But after that Carwood and BP one, man, that was a long 4 months till the Smeagol one, man, because I was like, oh, man, this is such a chill one. Who are they going to have on next? I was like, I can't wait for next month. I was like, what's going on? Then 2 months, I was like, all right, this is a bit gutting, but they're clearly busy with shit, because obviously I messaged you on Messenger, and you were saying, oh, I'm doing X, Y, Z at uni, so fair enough, but I was like, man, when's the next one coming? And the Smeagol one was all right. Like, it's hard to get like really intrigued by people's stuff. I was intrigued by his animation. I watched quite a bit of it, and it was cool how ahead of his time he was. But obviously, you guys are mentioning, but I didn't know him that well. But the Jurassic Bricks one, man, as I said, I really love that one a lot. But yeah, it's cool that you'll be able to alternate between you and Chris W, and you'll be able to edit stuff, and things will be able to be pumped out each month. I feel like it's, even though like it was a long break, and there are like podcasts out there that are having stuff every week or every 2 weeks or whatever, or some every few days, it's hard to make every podcast a really, really, really good one. And if you're like a massive podcast and you're having like celebrities on, as I said, it's sort of like you're just grabbing that celebrity for the sake of it. You might not even give a shit about them, because let's be real, like Logan Paul, when he got James Charles on his podcast, that was actually a good podcast. Like James Charles talking regularly, because my sister watches his videos, and he's a bit, I don't want to be mean, but it's not really my type of content, and he's a little bit annoying and like just seems like off this planet. But on the Logan Paul Impulsive, he was like he just seemed like he was still like himself, but he was less annoying and fairly cool guy, and it was interesting. But is Logan Paul really interested in what he's got to say? And to be honest, I wasn't that interested, but it was cool how he was talking about how he became a YouTuber and what got him into it and all that jazz. But these people who get the celebrities on, they're not going to be that intrigued by everything each celebrity does. But obviously, you and Penta, I'm assuming 99.999% of the time are interested in all your guests, what they're doing, what brick film they're doing, and what's coming next, or talking about Thacks and Brawls,
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's, I think of like like I think sort of going back to what you were saying before about like the long gap. That was yeah, it was funny because I wasn't intending to have like as long a gap I did, and I was thinking like over the pandemic I'd be like, oh yeah, this is going to be great. I'm going to have so much time to do it, and like over the summer it was great. I think I managed to release a couple, but then um, I I didn't realize how much of a toll At Man episode 6 would have, because I spent a good like after like finishing in the animation, I got to like I think I had like 6 weeks of just editing it, and then after that I was just like, oh, I can't. And then I had like I was doing the I was like studying, and I was working on the I think the live action film that I was doing for university, and it was just like I just didn't have like time. So when I finally got around to doing another episode, it was really nice to do that again.
Well, you've been working on the Ant-Man for like 3 years, which was mad. But obviously, when it came out, I understood why it took 3 years, because there was a shit ton of stuff. And you said, right, you like took the buildings. Like, didn't you like keep rebuilding for the chase scene? Like, you took the buildings apart after you filmed them, get past the building, then you rebuild different buildings to like make it look better or something.
Yeah, so basically I built like for like a 5 second clip, because you know it was like a chase scene. It has to be very short like shots, because you know the camera's moving and the camera, you know, the cars are like racing around. So every like setup could only be like only there for like a couple of seconds. So I'd spend the entire day building like a whole like street, and then I'd film that all, and then just have to dismantle it, and then build the next set. And it was kind of like that for like I'd say a good couple of weeks. Just that chase scene.
Yeah.
You know, going from, and I'm pretty sure I was quite non-stop over the summer. Like I was doing it pretty much every day. I'd
That's
be like
awesome.
dismantling one set and then, you know, building the next, and yeah. And I kind of feel like as well, the chase scene, it was kind of like an essential part. Like if it wasn't as polished as like the rest of it, it would feel like you know, you know, it's 3 years of my life. I have to make it look really good, you know.
Yeah.
So even though like a lot of, even though it was like I had already done most of it by that point, it was like I need to make sure this is to standard, you know.
I mean, the thing that helped that, like, there wasn't anything particularly like insanely detailed or intricate with like a lot of the build, like the outsides of the buildings, but that it felt like, because there was so many different things, it felt really alive, like going through that chase scene and all that stuff. But I suppose you can't make them all intricate if you're going to like take them apart all the time. Then you'd be making the brick film for like 15 years, so it'd just be crazy.
Yeah, I mean, and quite as well. I'm very kind of limited to like whatever I already have. I actually don't play a lot of like stuff specifically for like films. I think it's mostly just because I don't actually plan ahead when I'm building. I kind of like at the time I'll think I'll have like maybe a vague idea of what I want a building to be like. But I will kind of basically just make it up on the day, how I want the building to look like. So I'm not really thinking too much about like part usage or anything like that. So they are relatively basic, but it's I kind of wanted to I kind of like to have like you know, a consistent amount of like a lot of buildings, and also make them I guess like stylistically quite interesting, even though they're kind of simplistic.
Was the bit in the parking lot a bit of a pain to film? Because, well, I can't remember. Was there a roof over the brick film, or did you just have like the pillars up and the cars parked? Because it was a parking lot, wasn't it?
Oh yeah. Yes, I didn't actually have a roof. It was actually quite, you know, it was just I just had the pillars, and I kind of like connected them together. And I put it on like a really big base. I think I put it on a really big base plate. That actually, I mean, this might be a kind of like something that they kind of discourage you from doing within the brick filming community, but it actually wasn't a Lego base plate. It was like a knockoff brand, but but basically it was actually bigger than all the other, like it wasn't like a 32 by 32. It was like it was like way bigger.
Oh, geez.
It was actually like the right size for the how big I wanted it to be. because
Yeah.
you needed
And,
it to be a big
but the main
scale.
thing, sorry to cut you off, but the main thing is like the Legos can stick to it. Could the Legos stick to it well, or did you have to like put tack down or?
I do mean like the cars and stuff, or just the figures, or
No, like when there was a bit in the parking lot, weren't they like shooting each other in the parking lot, and then they got in the car? I'm sorry, I can't remember it that well, but
um, yeah. I mean, like, all like I guess you mean like the running and stuff, and how they.
yeah,
Yeah, well, I mean, I did occasionally have to use tack for like I do quite often with the running because when I do the running motion, I always have them kind of like slightly tilted
oh,
um,
okay,
because it's a lot more natural.
yeah,
If you kind of think about running, you can't even like lean like
yeah, that
forward.
makes sense.
And because of because they're kind of like they're leaning that side, they quite often collapse. So I
Mhm.
end up having to like add blue tack for like one frame.
Fairs. What frame is it like when they're really leaning far forward then, or like?
Yeah, so there's like a point where they're kind of like in between studs.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, makes
and
sense.
then basically what I do is I have like one shot where they're in between the studs, and then I'll have like one shot where they're like one foot is on the stud,
Hmm.
and then they kind of like skip a stud and they kind of like swap legs, and it's like a
Fairs.
3 frame.
I was going to talk about that chase scene one more time though. The music, I know I've said to you before though, man, but Turn to Stone fit that perfectly. I thought because I had listened to a bit of ELO at that point, but I hadn't listened to Turn to Stone. And I thought, is this Doctor Who or something? Because it was going. I was like, no, it sounds a bit different to that. And then obviously the city streets are, and I was like, I'd recognise that voice anywhere. And then yeah,
Yeah,
I thought this is cool, man. This works perfectly for an action scene.
yeah. I mean, it was a bit of a I say a pun, but uh, I just thought I think it was I very first started listening to ELO in 2018. I think it was when I was first working on episode 5 and 6, and I think I was listening to that song when I was exercising. I was thinking, this is such a good song, and it'd just be perfect for a fight scene. I came up with a couple of ideas for like different songs I'd quite like to use. I think at one point I wanted to use like a Queen song, but um, the problem with that was that if you try and use like Queen, you'll get like a worldwide strike and like worldwide like block, and you can't actually So
And you know what the thing with Queen is though? I love their music and their goats, they're number one, but it doesn't really suit an action scene apart from maybe Breakthrough a little bit would suit an action
mm,
scene. Maybe Don't Stop Me Now, but a lot of the songs I don't really think would suit an action scene really, unless it's like a comedy vibe
yeah,
that you're going for. But I feel like Turn Stone just felt a bit more like the stakes are high because at one point the singer singing has like I'm turning stone, and it's like it's ELO sounds a lot more I don't know serious than Queen's. Queen's is still like the best, don't get me wrong, but for an action scene, I think
yeah. I think
Turn
it's
Stone works quite well.
there was also a point in the in that scene as well. I think it was again because by the time I think I had like pretty much finished animating that part of the scene. I think I had finished actually the whole parking lot scene before I finally chose that song, and it was just perfect because I wanted it. I wanted the her to turn to stone at the point when they first say I turned to stone, because that's like her powers, and it was just like perfect. And the way the song aligned, it was just perfect because
Yeah,
they were just like running out of the apartment as the song started. It was just like, well, yeah, this is supposed to be this is the song.
yeah. I mean, with music, obviously, actual songs with singing can be better, but I don't know. Well, I guess you probably do know this, but like, because Ed Bound uses a lot of gaming songs in his videos, and I'm thinking, doesn't he get nervous? Doesn't he get nervous that Nintendo are going to come for him or something? But like, um, it hit me. I realised gamers have this. Twitch streamers and gamers have this. All the gaming songs in their videos 24/7. So the majority of gaming songs you can actually use yourself.
Well,
You stuck.
there is actually it's funny you mention that because I remember hearing recently that Twitch has become are very strict about like having music in streams, and I
Oh
think
yeah.
there's like wasn't there like some have been they've had like strikes on their channels because of like even sometimes having like sound effects and stuff in
Oh
their
well.
videos.
Thing is, with that type of thing, I see a lot of streamers that are just playing music all the time. But all that happens is once it's on there afterwards, it gets what's it called? Certain parts of the video are muted. But I suppose if you're having really big relevant songs played, they might give you a strike. But yeah, usually it's just like things get taken off or whatever. So and with sound effects, I mean, it's a bit unfair if someone's say if you donate $5 and someone's like this guy called Ray. He's got one that goes, "I'm your dad, boogie 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 boogie," and like other things. He's got like Goofy going, wake me up inside," and oh man, I can't think of the rest of them off the top of my head, but like he's got quite a few, and it would be a bit. It hasn't happened to him, but it'd be a bit unfair if they like suddenly just turn on him and say, "Oh yeah, you can't use these anymore. Fuck you."
Yeah,
I hope that doesn't happen to too many streamers, but if it's happening loads, I mean, what I mean is the video game soundtracks themselves. You're not going to get in trouble for using most of them, but I suppose with other stuff that what you're saying about is like a different issue, like how they which it's worth bringing up, but it's how they what you call it. It's like that when it's just them getting banned for playing actual music or stuff, which they shouldn't, because why Twitch suddenly getting up in arms and getting angry when people have been playing music for years?
yeah. I always thought it's a funny, it's a strange thing. I think like I've often felt that music. I think it's something that a lot of people say, but like the music industry and this like the record labels have like far too much like control and like power
Yeah.
over like content creators and stuff, and especially if they're not making money out of it, it does seem a bit kind of like
That's like next level lame.
yeah,
I'd understand if they were like, all right, this isn't your song, give us the money and whatever. But the thing is, like, I just want to say quickly, with gaming, if they tried to say, you can't do this walkthrough, this sound is copyrighted, they pretty much would struggle to do that, because then otherwise no one would film their game, would they? Or they'd just have to turn the music off, so their game wouldn't have the same effect.
I think
music is a big deal.
I think Nintendo is a lot more strict, and I think they don't like people even like streaming their games and stuff.
I think you can, but you won't get monetized on YouTube if you play their game.
It's quite weird, like, because they're quite. It is funny how kind of like yeah, like unfriend, like yeah, like yeah, I don't know. They just don't seem to they just don't seem to like content creators or gamers at all.
Strange.
When it comes to like, yeah.
Thing is, that's why gaming's. I was just going to say.
About it, though, like you think of. Oh, sorry.
No,
sorry. I mean, I was just going to say, you think of it's funny because really, if any gaming companies have any sense, they'll realize that like one of the reasons why so many games do well is because people see streamers actually playing them and stuff, and it makes them want to play it. Like
exactly.
You think of like Among Us and stuff. The reason why that became so popular is mostly just because of people on Twitch.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, I was going to say the reason why gaming sort of died on YouTube and a lot of people have gone over to Twitch is because YouTube, the companies screw over the creators, and it's very unjustified. Like, oh, we're going to strike you because you're using our footage. Hold on, son. I'm not even monetizing this thing. What the hell's going through your head?
Yeah.
Like, and the thing is, surely they could be like, all right, you can monetize it, but we'll just take 50% of what's made from the video. Then they make more money in the long run then. So they're being totally counterproductive to themselves. Thing is, though, YouTubers are the same, sadly. They're like, oh, someone's made content using my footage or done a review on me or blah, 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 blah. And they're like, oh, copyright. And it's like, people just need to sort of chill out, man. Anyone who's watching this right now, you can use any footage from the podcast as long as you're not just ripping it straight out of the podcast and uploading it. If you want to make highlights or funny moments, it's fine. But as long as you're not just copy and pasting, uploading a 1 hour or 2 hour podcast, you know, feel free to take the footage, everyone, as long as it's done sensibly. Yeah.
Actually, one thing that you may have noticed if you look at like some of my older podcasts is that I used to use clips from like non-brick films. If you were to talk about a film, I used to use a clip from a film and stuff. But I got some like copyright, and I got some like you know I got blocked in some countries, and once I did the episode of Forlorn Creature, and for like a year it was fine, but then I got because I used a clip from Pokemon. I got a worldwide block.
I mean, that is just next level. It's fine for a year. It's fine for a year. Yeah. You can show this footage for a year. Oh, but now we're pissed. Now worldwide block. It's like, man, I don't get these people. I don't get the why was it fine for a year and suddenly thing is, when it's newer, surely it would have been worse back then because it's newer, but no, it's suddenly a year late.
It's because so it was actually a manual strike. Like it was actually the company that actually sort of like found it, and I actually tried to appeal appeal it, and I said, could you take it off? And then I tried to dispute the claim and stuff, but when you dispute a block, YouTube basically the company needs to say, yeah, I approve of it being unblocked, which no company or most of them aren't going to do if they've already decided to block your content. So it's weighed so much on towards the favor of like the company. I ended up having to re-upload it without the without that clip, which was really annoying.
I mean, that is just next level wanker behavior from them, because they've already got if you're a company that has the power to just get rid of stuff, you're probably not doing half bad money wise. So why do you even need to do this? Especially if the video isn't monetized. But let's be real. Actually, no, I was about to say, right, the person in charge of Pokemon isn't going to be. I know it wasn't that person, but for argument's sake, it was some other company. But the person in charge of Pokemon isn't really going to be watching this stuff. So, but if you are, which is possible because they watched the Forlorn Creature episode and somehow got to that, watched it so much that they got to that bit, or were lucky and fast forwarded to that bit. If you're watching this, just get your act together, please. Just grow up a bit. Like, what is one video going to do, really? One video that shows a bit of your footage. Who really cares? It's just, I don't know, man. I guess it's just how they are. I guess people just need to be more careful. But in the long run, it'll kill a lot of creative content. In the long run, we're just going to see, as I say, more family video. Oh, look at my kids' lives way. Or, oh, look at this. I walked to the beach today and jumped in the sea. More of this rubbish nonsense instead of creative brilliance. But next question, anyway, bro. What makes you shoot at 12 frames per second instead of 15 or 24?
Well, just mostly just because I started off with a really low frame rate, and when I found out that 12 frames per second was kind of like the lowest that out of like the standard frame rates, I kind of just thought in my head, I kind of thought, oh yeah, that means it's the easiest. And I just kind of like just stayed there. I kind of like gradually got up from like 6 frames a second to like 8 frames a second, 10 frames a second, and I just sort of stayed at 12. And I kind of just liked that level. I thought it was quite nice, and it's obviously double that is 24, so I thought it was quite a nice kind of like number. And I guess I just kind of like, by that point, I was starting to get better as an animator. I started to kind of like listen more to like some sort of like what people were saying, and I kind of tried to just get better basically. And I kind of by the time that I'd improved, it was kind of like, well, I know 12 frames a second now, so I might as well just stay. So I just stuck with that.
I mean, it still looks good. And the thing is with your brick films, I'm not like saying like I'm not saying like the animation isn't like great, but I like the stories more than everything else about it. If that makes sense, everything else is still cool, but I feel like things like Man and TV Loop and Cut and Run, it's more like there for the story. So even though the animation doesn't look like conventional, the average 15 frames per second, it still looks cool. But I'm personally mostly there for the stories. I'm sure other people like are there for the editing, I suppose, and all that jazz. But I think the stories are really like cool. And because the thing is with Man 6, I thought when I first watched it, I was like, I wasn't really paying attention to the animation or anything apart from in the action scenes. I was just mostly bothered about the stories, like what's going to happen next, where they're going to go. Oh, shit, this crazy scientist dude is just a nutter. Oh, he's going to blow the gaff up. Oh, damn,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's actually really nice to hear. Thank you. I mean, like that's I mean, I think the main purpose of like things like I like Batman, it's got quite a complicated plot, and I kind of always try and make the the story interesting. I think that the story and like the characters and everything are kind of always the main focus for me, and in especially when it's like Man,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like to make some really nice, some good like action scenes to go with that. But yeah, I think if the story doesn't work, it's kind of like that's the whole thing doesn't really work.
Yeah. I guess even like the best animations have some sort of story, but I suppose stuff like your content, Pentas content, Mind Game, a lot of Chihuahua stuff. I know he's got some like Star Wars and Batman, and obviously he did the Steam Times. But yeah, original content requires a lot more story because there isn't really as much for you to work off of as like there is with Star Wars, Marvel, DC, Harry Potter, or anything else. But
Yeah.
I didn't actually talk about this on the last podcast, and sorry to sound like a casual man, but I didn't really get what it was because I didn't really understand Thack and Brawl. Because when I first watched your guys' podcast for ages, I didn't get what it was. Like I thought, what does this mean? What's this all about? I watched them and like Thack Brawl, and I was like, what's this mean? What's this mean? And but obviously I was like, oh okay, 24-hour animation contest, that's cool. And see what people could do so quickly. I was like, man, this is sick. And what does Brawl stand for? I know it's the week-long one, but what does it actually stand for?
It's we're brick filming rapidly all week long.
Oh, cool. That's pretty cool.
It's either brick filming or brick film. Can't remember which one it is, but yeah, that's what it stands for. Yeah.
But the thing is, something like Thack seems like more like it's cool to see what people can do in 24 hours. Especially the one that won, or was it the one that came second? No, the one that came second was the cow one, wasn't it? The dude who got turned.
Yeah, we hate cows. Yeah.
It's like I hate cows. But then the one that won was the dude who cut his wrists, and then no, sorry, not the dude who won didn't actually cut his wrists. I mean,
Yeah.
sorry, I can't remember the dude's name. Was it Jacob Crow who won, or did he come third?
Yeah. I mean, he's our next guest actually in the podcast.
Yeah, awesome. But yeah, this dude rolled up to the church and he was like, Father, and all that jazz, and he was showing his wrists. And then he was like, oh, don't worry, son. Then he sat outside and then he brought him a cup of tea. So, and it made me feel like really tense watching that because when the dude first, when the priest first came out, the dude ran off. So I thought, what, is he going to hang himself outside? That's going to be a fucking sad ending. Bloody hell. But it really had me on the edge of my seat. And then I was like, oh, no, he's just outside. But that was really good. I don't know if that's what Jacob Crow was going for, but that was really cool in my opinion. But I was going to say, do you enjoy Thack? Because like it seems like more of a graft, like and a stress than anything. But
not particularly. No, I mean, I didn't make it this year. I had this idea in my head. Oh yeah, I'm gonna do a song. I'm gonna write a song for Thack, and I'm gonna make a film based on that. And I did. It took me about 5 hours to write the song, and I actually recorded it, and I was actually really happy with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I got to like start. I built a set, and I was about to start animating, and I kind of thought I don't actually have a story. and I saw loads of people on Discord, and I started to chat with them, and I spent a good like maybe 5 or 6 hours just having a laugh, and then I kind of thought it got to like 2 o'clock in the morning. I was like, yeah, I haven't actually done anything, so I'm just gonna go to bed.
What were you going to do at that point, though? Oh man.
Yeah, I just sort of like, I was sort of talking to them. I think even when I started just chatting with them, I was like, I don't think I'm going to make this because I don't have a story. But
Were you just
yeah,
trying to like have casual banter and think if you could, oh, I'll just come up with something, or were you just like chilling out and thinking, oh, let's just chill out now and not work on X thing?
yeah, I just kind of thought to myself, yeah, I don't know if I have the energy to do this all night, and you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just like, I don't know, it's a lot of work. I feel like, yeah, I never really like loved that. There's a couple of times I've made films where they're actually really, I thought I was actually really happy with. One I actually didn't make in time, but I still released. But then another one, which 2019, I did a film, and it actually everything went well. That was
Oh,
actually really nice. That's the only time I've ever like made an entry that wasn't a joke and did really like. I just felt really happy with it.
which one was that? What happened in that? I don't know if I've watched it or not.
Um, it was called Me and You. It was about a guy who he's like a lumberjack, and he's like knocking down all the trees, and he's using them to build a house. But the trees kind of take revenge. They get revenge, and they're kind of like this tree keeps coming back, and it gets closer and closer towards the house, and then one day he wakes up and it becomes a tree house.
Fair play.
And I actually used an ELO song in that as well. I used Confusion.
Okay, I haven't listened
So,
to that one. I'll I'll try and get round to watching that one because that sounds like decent banter. But Thack, man, honestly, it seems just like a really. It just seems like something really grueling and difficult. Like watching it, being the audience, that's like cool because, and I suppose being looking at other people's stacks, even if you're partaking, like bloody hell, this is what they did in 24 hours, awesome. But actually
mm.
doing it yourself just seems like grueling and horrible because you have to build the set, and then you have to come up with a story and then edit everything to a decent standard, and it's like, man, it's just such a graft, in my opinion. I don't think I'd ever do it because like it's just not that much fun. Someone said to me, you could do it because it doesn't matter what level you are, but it just seems like it just seems like a graft. Brawl seems like a shit ton of fun though, man. Brawl
Yeah,
seems cool.
I absolutely love Brawl, and I think it's the thing for me is I'm not very good with like it takes time for me to come up with a story I'm happy with. So like with like last year, I had I had no real idea as soon as it kind of like started, but I was like, I'll give it some time, I'll come up with something, and then within like 24 hours, I'd come up with something I was really happy with, and it takes me that long to like come up with an idea, and then you know day two was building the set, and then you know the rest of the time is actually just making it. It's just a much nicer time frame, and it's you're still on edge. You still get no matter how far ahead you are, you're going to end up getting still working on it to the last day. I think that's the case with like university as well with projects, but like yeah, I think it's just a whole lot more fun because I think you can kind of be animating late at night and think to yourself, I just want to rest. I want to go to bed now.
Yeah,
And
exactly. But with Thack, you're like,
yeah, you
it's like
can't. Like
next level stress.
actually, that happened with that. So that film I was saying, like the 2019 entry. Even though I managed to make it in time, I was like, I animated up till I think it was like 7 in the morning.
Jesus
Um,
Christ.
and I was like, I'm gonna just take a 30-minute nap. I woke up then at like 9 o'clock, and I was like, shit, I've overslept, and I was thinking to myself, oh, am I actually going to finish this? And I think I finished it within like
How long
about
did you
40
have?
minutes. I think it was the last hour that I finished it. I think.
Oh, cool. Has there ever been anyone who sent it within like the last 2 minutes or?
Oh yeah, you get like 20 entries that are in the last 2 minutes. There's so many that.
Oh man, it's understandable, but like you'd think they'd be like, all right, an hour's left, let's send this now.
Yeah.
I I bet Twickerbrick, he probably has his done, and he's probably got 5 hours to spare because he's just such an MLG pro. He's just like, yep.
Actually, I think he's one of the ones that kind of just does it that gets right near the end. Because
really, I'm shocked.
I mean, him and his brother, because I mean they work together. I think like they spend a lot of time in the editing process as well. Like you can tell, like with the sound design and stuff. So they're quite polished, even for like Thack, you know. So I think they do spend a decent amount of time on them.
Do you think? Do you think with his brother being there, like that's why he's probably the goat at Thack?
Well, I think it does help, but I think I don't know how much they actually do like each. I think
so are they both Twickerbrick, or is it one Twickerbrick and the other dude's known as something else, or
yeah, they're both they're both Twickerbrick. I think Gary. Cool. I think Gary is the one that's generally is there's like active within the community, but cool. I think is it Greg? Well, there's I think it's Gregory and Gary. I think that's actually, you know, I because I don't want to get it. I don't want to get their names wrong. So I'm just going to quickly go over their names.
Fair enough, lad.
But I go on the wiki and I'm just going to. I'll be a second. Oh yeah, Gregory and Gary Moore. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So make sure. But yeah, I think yeah, I can't remember which one is which, but yeah, they did. I think one of them does most of the animating and the other one does like the sound. I might be completely wrong. I mean, like does the editing. I might be completely wrong. I'm not sure actually how they work together, but yeah.
Fairs. But yeah, as you said and as I said, man, it's just I've never done a brawl, by the way, before myself, but it just seems like so much more fun, like testing yourself for a whole week and just grafting for a whole week. And it seems like some great stuff can come out. I mean, in my opinion, some of Penta's best videos have been brawls. I really love World of Warcraft 2. That's you know, pretty satirical and banterous. Not loads happens, but like I'd say it's one of his best vids, still top 5. And changing rooms, absolutely next level brilliance. I think that's absolutely hilarious. That's like top 3 probably. That's just so funny. Just all the shit that's going on. He's like, oh, we need to move house. And then you have those ghost people. Oh, if there's any spirits, please please speak now. And then all the people Skelly let in is like, charge! And then they're just a boulder and destroying the whole house. And then I don't know how Penta does this, but like I think it's just the animation. But when the house is totally totaled and destroyed, he's like, now we get to live here forever. And then I can't believe I'm getting Benny and Lee's mixed up. But Benny's Penta's character, isn't he?
I don't know actually.
For some reason, I get them mixed up. But anyway, Penta's character runs up to the sofa and chucks his brother's character off the sofa, and he goes, wee! And then picks up the block and throws it at Skelly. And he just, somehow with that animation, even though the character's got a smiling face and glasses, it just makes his character look so angry, even though he's got a smiling face and glasses. But I think it's because of the animation, and he's not saying anything, and he's running quite quick. So that's so funny, that one. I absolutely love Changing Room, as I say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I think a lot of people's like best work can come from Brawl. I think that's the case with me as well. Like some of my favorite brick films. Actually, my personal favorite brick film of mine is probably Orchestral Palette.
Yeah, that one's class. Yeah,
2019, and then 20. I also really like Loop TV. I think how that came out.
Yeah.
But like I feel like out of my stuff, like they seem like quite polished, I guess. Which is you know, like compare. Yeah, I think they hold up as like some of my best, I think.
Yeah, I mean, before I knew what Thack and Brawl was or understood it, which does make me sound like an absolute utter nitwit, and I'm happy to take the flack. Because like I didn't realise until I was 11, I didn't realise what stop motion was. I didn't realise that they moved their hand to take the picture. I thought it was some magic trick, or not magic, but like there was some amazing method, but all it is taking pictures and moving it. But I didn't realise that till 11. It took me so long to realise that. But I mean, you know, it is what it is, man. I'm happy to admit the daft funny stuff. But yeah, before I knew that Brawl was a week long, I was still like, man, this is cool stuff. Even though I don't know what the competition's for and why it's a big deal, this stuff's still cool. I didn't realise it had been done in a week. So I'm sure there's some that might seem a bit rushed. And I suppose if you pay really close attention, you might think, oh, X thing is a bit rushed. But now that I know it's done in a week, it gives them even more credibility. Well, not now, but like months ago when I found out it was done in a week, it gives it even more credibility.
Yeah. Well, I think... like I do generally think, I mean, the standard has gone up and up, I think, and you know, like it kind of pushes a lot of people to try and work even harder, I think. But like I do think that like these days in recent years, like Brawl, you can't really tell it's been done in a week, most of the time, I don't think.
Yeah.
I think it, you know, it just seems as good as like any other brick film, I think.
Mm-hmm.
SAC, I think generally
you can, in my opinion, you can tell loads because it seems like every story seems like, mate, there was more to tell. There was more to this story. Not that that's a bad thing. It was only done in 24 hours. I'm not knocking it, but you can usually tell. But with Brawl, it's really hard to tell. If you showed it to like top stop motion animators, the Brawls, they'd think, oh, awesome. But if you showed the fact sheet, they'd think, man, I really wanted a lot more. This leaves me wanting way more. Or they'd think that was rushed.
I think sometimes they like you can't always tell, but like I think quite a lot you can kind of. I think one of the ones that I was really impressed by is one of the ones that got into the top 10 was, I think it was number 3, Joko's entry with Johnny Thunder. Like, I mean, we'll talk about it more in the podcast, but like I was just generally really impressed by like how much happens in the film, because it's I think it's like I think it's like close to like 3 minutes long, and there's like you know, there's like this temple set, and then they go to this like futuristic set, and there's like this the whole like city street, and there's like a bar, and like there's so many like sets. I think this is done in 24 hours, you know.
Actually thinking about it, that was some bollocks from me there, because now that I think about the films, some of them are actually done really well for 24 hours now that I really think about it. But I was just thinking back to the Jacob Crow film. As much as it was amazing, the story felt like there was more to tell in the story, and my mind was just focusing on that one. And, you know, I felt like there was more to tell in the story. But it is what it is. It was only 24 hours, and it was an amazing brick film, so... But,
I think it looks really it looks really well made.
The church was beautiful for 24 hours.
I think the cinematography and the camera work and everything is generally really good. So I mean, it is very short, but it kind of what he tells in the story in that time works really well. Obviously, I feel like if it was like a Brawl, you'd be able to tell like the story fully, but you know what he was able to do in that time is great. I will point out that the church was built beforehand, so you didn't actually make that but you know, still it's pretty
cool.
It's quite a lot to, you know, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to win, I think, in a lot of cases, because you've got to actually know what you're going to actually do and how you're going to film it. And,
the theme, that's really essential. But you know, at the end of the day, it's an amazing feat to do that stuff in 24 hours, to be honest. So pretty class stuff. But oh, sorry, what were you going to say? I was going to move on to another question before I forget it, but...
No, actually, that's all right, yeah.
You sure?
I was just going to say, you know, it's more than I'd be willing to do in the 24 hours.
Yeah. But this one's a really interesting one. Would you rather have a massive 4K camera, DSLR, or small webcam, but like the best webcam, the best DSLR, and the best 4K camera? If you had to pick between 3 of them for the brick films, what would you go for and why? Not 3 of them. If you had to pick one out of the 3, what would you go for? Sorry.
So like the 4K cameras, is that like a camcorder, you know, type of thing?
Like a really big camera, but like you can, because I swear Forrest Far uses them sometimes, because I saw his behind the scenes and it's a massive camera.
I'd probably pick that because that's something I'd want anyway. Just because of like doing like live action stuff. I
Oh
really
yeah,
like
yeah.
I really like the higher end like cinema cameras.
Mhm.
Um,
I just meant for like the brick filming. Like in this question, you could still buy another camera, but you couldn't use it for brick film in this scenario. So, but yeah, that makes sense because I guess you would, even for the brick films, you want like the best looking image. So,
I mean, I actually got a camcorder recently. That's it's a 1080p camcorder, but it's pretty good. It's a Sony camera, and I'm hoping to get an adapter for the computer and actually use that for brick films in the future. I do very much like the Logitech though, the C920, just because
yeah, the shots and the angles.
yeah, what you can actually film with it, like the camera work and stuff, it's crazy because it's so small and it's just so durable, and you can move it around, and like there's so much in App Man. I loved using it in that. The
The running
scene.
shot, man. The running shot when the camera's like coming back.
I actually really, I was really pleased how I pulled off the boardroom meeting, where they're planning out the raid, and you've got like the camera. It's just in one shot, and the camera goes from like one kind of like setup with one character, and it goes from to the other character, and just yeah, like I love being able to do that with the camera.
Yeah. So in the future, right? Let's say 2 years time, you've got a load of money from freelancing, not like life changing money, but like quite a lot. Would you like, I don't know, if you got your own place in X amount of years, would you like set up a like small like a table and do brick films still and do the podcast, or do you reckon you'd do it like way less frequently than once a month, or what do you think you'd do?
I mean, in the foreseeable future, it's kind of like I feel like I'm probably kind of have to do the podcast in some way, but like,
Yeah.
thing is, I just really genuinely really love doing the podcast and that kind of stuff. I can't see myself like, at least currently, I can't see myself like ending it anytime soon.
So once you stop enjoying it, even if you had loads of free time, you'd just be like, no, see ya.
Sorry.
I said even if you had loads of free time still, say if you stopped enjoying it. Well, not you haven't got loads of free time, but
Oh yeah.
yeah, say if you stopped enjoying it right now, would you just be like, see ya, see everyone, or do you reckon you'd still like try and do it a bit, or?
Well, I've tried to do it for a little bit because if it's only just become the podcast of Bricks Emotion, but yeah, I feel like I mean at the moment I still genuinely really enjoy it, and
Brilliant.
people seem to really enjoy it. I feel like if I became less, if I was less enthusiastic about like actually doing the work, I could always give more and more work to other people to edit and stuff. Get other people to do it. But like the actual podcast would remain the same pretty much.
Mm-hmm. If say if you had like, all right, say like in 5 years you don't do it as frequently. Say if some brick filmer just pops out the blue and they're like next level beast, and they're like, oh William or oh Penta, I love your podcast, blah 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 blah. Can I come on? Would you let them, or would you be like, can't be bothered, or would you just have to see how you feel, or?
You said like it's like a big shot, like when like a newcomer kind of like brick filmer.
Yeah, like big shot and amazing at brick filming.
I think if it was kind of like that, it that could be, and assuming that we kind of like took a break from it or something.
Yeah,
it could be the type of thing. Then it would be like, oh yeah, let's bring it back. And if this does well, we could just bring back the podcast kind of thing,
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, you've just got to do stuff because you enjoy it. There's so many people who like do things and they're just in it for the wrong reasons, like fame and clout and attention and getting people to say that they're the best ever. But in reality, you've got to do it for you. Obviously, there has to be some of passion in there. Like there has to be a bit of, oh, I want to entertain X amount of people. But at the same time, you've got to do it for you. So.
Oh yeah, sure.
Do you think you and Penta would ever do any like live streams, just chilling out and having a laugh with people, or is that not your style? Or
Well, I mean, I've often thought about doing like live streaming. Just like myself, I was thinking of like potentially if I become more confident with OBS, I was thinking about doing a like live streams of like brick filming.
Mm-hmm.
That would be quite fun. I always enjoy like seeing Ed Bounds when I get a chance to watch them. And I can imagine that being quite a lot of fun. I actually did a live stream when I was doing Cut and One in 2018, and I enjoyed it quite a lot. So yeah, I think I might go back to doing that.
Yeah, man. I mean, there are some brick filmers who are just they're so focused on the animation. I guess some people really do need to be focused because, like, they want to make this like they're just that's just who they are. They just want to look at the animation. Like, oh, this comment. I'm just and like there might not be any talking for 5 minutes, but Ed Bow's stream there's like constant talking and he's multitasking. He's like doing stuff and then talking about something, and it's just like it's pretty cool. And he does gaming streams, to be fair. So there ain't many brick filmers who can make all sorts of different things, like he can. Like he's done tutorial videos that are well edited. I don't know if a lot of brick filmers could like make really, really high level brick films and really, really high level polished professional edits. I mean, some can, don't get me wrong, like Chihuahua, but I don't think all of them could, especially ones who have made like millions and millions of them because they probably get so used to doing the animations they do. I don't know. I just get that vibe that it's hard to be like really well-rounded with all sorts of different editing. I could be wrong, or maybe it's because like a lot of brick filmers don't like do regular casual videos where they just talk about stuff, and I don't know. I could be wrong, but it's just how I feel a bit,
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, man, it streams. There's just loads of talking, loads of comments, and I think, especially for brick filming, it's a way to build up a community because a lot of the audience is, I'm assuming, like I know there's some adult fans, but a lot of the audience is quite young, so they probably want to feel like they're more part of the community, like part of the channel, if that makes sense. So they probably like even little things like outros. Oh, I know this person sort of more, not personally, but if you're talking in the outro and saying stuff, it feels like the person more personally, if that makes sense, like Ed Bound does. And he usually, I know maybe this is me being a psychoanalyst maniac, but he says we were working on this week, and like I don't know who he means by we, but it makes it sound like he's involving his community, or it makes the community feel involved, if that makes sense. Because I know this might just me being a psychoanalyst maniac, but I think that helps as well. Making your community feel involved, and making his patrons minifigures as well. I feel like that really makes people feel involved as well, like they're actually in the film, if that makes sense. So I think there's a lot of little things you can do in brick filming to make yourself grow, make people get behind you a bit,
Yeah, I think one of the other things that I really like about doing the podcast is selling content, releasing stuff, that's not just brick films, and I think it helps because you feel like you've got something out there. There is like an adrenaline rush you get when you've got something new to release.
Yeah,
and I think it's you kind of want to. I remember when I released Atman episode 6, it was like, oh, I need something else. I need something else to get out now.
Really?
And I didn't do anything for ages because I actually didn't feel like I wanted to do it, but I felt like I wanted that releasing something vibe, And by the time I did the next podcast, I was like, oh yeah, it's great. I've got another one out now, and it's nice to just have more content. And I think going into like live streaming is something I'd be interested in doing. At the moment, I'm just like I've still got university and stuff, but I do potentially have a lot more time coming up, which I could dedicate to doing that kind of thing. But who knows?
Yeah. I mean, bro, I was a bit confused for a second. I was like, Atman episode 6, well, that must have been like, well, if I was ever making a brick film that good, I'd be like, yes, 3 years in the making. But like, obviously, I haven't gone through 3 years of grafting at something and then releasing it. And at first I was confused, but then as you went into more details, like, oh yeah, like just general videos coming out and people reacting to the videos, like, on the Jurassic Bricks video, like Akash was commenting saying, "Oh man, the man himself," and to have like massive people who are hardcore brick filmers and really, really good at animation and editing and cinematography and dialogue and writing, commenting on your stuff and being like, if it's creatively satisfying, really good creatives, you're probably like thinking, you probably want more of that, like them, like just content in general and things coming out,
Yeah. I do find it really funny when I get some big names just like commenting on the videos, like Forest Fire commented on the episode with the last episode. It was like, this is a great episode. It's like, oh yeah.
Which was that the Jurassic Brick one? Did you say? Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
he commented on the video. It's quite funny. I think like I forget like all these people like regularly listen to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is. I guess. I mean, it'd be weird if you could see the viewers on YouTube, but I guess you just think to yourself like, oh well, as you can't see who the viewers are, which obviously makes sense because privacy and stuff. You don't know who's watching, obviously. So yeah, and then when you see like a big wig, a fairly well-known person in the brick filming community commenting and thinking, oh, this is great. It's probably like as I said before, like big praise from the creatives must be like awesome, man. Like top level creative people,
Yeah, and it's quite funny as well because it's like, I mean, I'm always one of these people that I rarely actually comment on videos.
Yeah, same.
I do occasionally, and like it's quite funny because I mean, it kind of makes you think that you never know who's like watching and just doesn't comment. Like me, I mean, I watch all sorts of stuff. I just never say anything. So it's like, it's quite weird in some cases. Like I sort of think to it. I sort of think about it. Like, you could be really actively following someone's channel, but they don't know. They have no idea because if you don't actually know,
it's like, I mean, well, like Callum's Corner, right? I've been following him for years and watching every video, and then these other people who haven't been following him as long, he's like, I don't know, he has a lot to do with them and seeing, but they were more involved. They're more involved in the community. It doesn't bother me, but I felt like, man, I've been a fan for years, and he doesn't really seem that bothered. Never reads any like comments I put on live streams and all that jazz. I suppose the people who he does have stuff to do have actually donated, but like he doesn't know that I've been a fan forever. And even if he's one of my favorite YouTubers, and I know this sounds strange, but like it's just because he's such a funny guy. And a part of you think, I don't actually have any ill will against you or I'm annoyed. The creators owe the fans nothing. They're there to entertain you. You're not there to harass them. If they don't want to respond or read your stuff and they read other people's stuff, then I guess that's just tough tits at the end of the day. And it's like probably the first people who ever watched the podcast. I don't know who they are. I can't. All I can say is anyone who watched the ALP and first and supported it, thanks. It means the world, even though I don't know you personally, thank you so much. But I know I'm making it sound bigger than it is because obviously the podcast isn't that big, but still, I suppose as long as you appreciate the views, it's all good. But yeah, man, obviously no one's going to know because there's so many fans. Imagine like being PewDiePie, 100 million subscribers. It's like bloody hell, 100 million people click subscribe. Yeah. It's like trippy, man. But he loves it. He loves the game, doesn't he? The YouTube game. So, yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's quite mad. Like the scale of some of it. Like you think like PewDiePie, like he has that many people. Like that's larger than like the population of like most countries.
Yeah.
It's like that's like a third of like the entire population of the United States.
Crazy, man. I was going to ask though, what was the most difficult thing about making Ant-Man 6?
It's a good question, actually. I'm trying to think. I mean, the kind of like, I guess the simple answer would probably be kind of just like all of it to some extent, because it was kind of just like it took so long to like. I think there was like a point where I got to like the middle point, and I was just kind of like, God, I've done so much, but I've still got so much to do. I think a lot of the action scenes were pretty hard to do. I think, like, the parking lot. There isn't anything that was particularly that hard to do, but I think it was just kind of like complicated, quite big things to kind of try and do. I think I'd probably say the chase scene after that was probably because of that having to do like a separate like build a separate set for every kind of like couple of shots. And, that take a whole day and stuff, and mostly just being like taking a very long time to make, rather than being like too complicated. I think actually I could probably say out of like episode 5 and 6 combined, the hardest thing probably was making action sequences, just because that was the main thing the main like technique that I wanted to kind of grow on with these two was the making action scenes that actually are engaging. So I'm hoping that I've managed to kind of like succeed in that front.
I mean, yeah, as I said before, I mean, I'm just one person with one opinion, but with obviously different opinions on different things. But at the end of the day, I found those action scenes objectively and subjectively fun. But obviously, I suppose the most important thing is that you think they're any good because you're the one who made them. So, what did you think of them? Did you like the way they came out?
Yeah, it's quite interesting because they're pretty much done chronologically. So I can kind of see them improving with each one. Like episode 5. I mean, I did do some of episode 6 before I finished episode 5, but the very first action scene that I did for the films was that first like opening action sequence in episode 5, and like if I compare that now to like, I mean, I was really happy with that. It was like the best thing I'd ever done at that point. But when I compare that now to like the parking lot scene. Well, actually, yeah, parking lot scene, which was like the next thing I did, and I could see like it's that much better. And also like the rooftop scene in episode 5 was like that much better than the first one. And then and then I'm doing the like fights on the base, which was done recently. I can kind of see them getting like better and better. So it is nice to see that, and I think generally I'm really happy with like how they came out.
That is really important, to be fair. And the thing is, 3 years of graft, you definitely are going to see some sort of improvement. Like even if it's just a tiny improvement, it's good. And even if it's just the tiniest minute thing, if you're making some sort of progress, you're going to be happy with yourself, and people are going to be pleased when it comes out. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's just kind of a small amount from being like, how the hell am I going to actually make this action scene? That's like that's the first thing I thought when I was starting it. And then like now it's kind of like, oh yeah, it's an action scene. I look forward to doing this because I know I've gone beyond that first really difficult, like this is the first time I've tried to do something that, a good action scene. And then after that, it's never going to be as hard, even though you're picking up on that and making improvements,
Yeah, bang on the money. What makes you not want to like voice acting your stuff that often? Because I know in that Man 6 you was like the dude in the submarine. It was like, we're going down now. Brace yourselves up. Well, not brace yourselves, but like we're going to X location.
It's not as much as that. Like I think I used to not like my voice as much. I think I got used to it from having to do all the podcasts and stuff. Like as well.
Yeah.
I have a quite a specific voice, and I think it works for certain parts, but I'm not a fan of voice acting in general, unless it's like I do a lot of voice acting, but usually people give me parts that I feel like I can do.
Yeah.
I'm not very versatile though, and I think
so it's usually more comedy or like chilled out drama or a chilled out serious thing.
Yeah, I think I much prefer doing like comedic stuff, or just like small amounts. But like I kind of think of my roles in Outman as being a bit like more like cameos, and I just really love the voice actors that I have, and there's so many like so much talent within the brick filming community that I just kind of feel like I want to bring these in, like like famous actors, and we need people like Mind Game as a villain, and I think Maximus Mills as the as Outman is great, and I think they're just like I just think they're just genuinely a great cast, and I think they do more than I could have done in those roles. You know.
True, very. I mean, those people are epic. I'd say Jay Silver has to be like the best voice actor ever. He's just a next level beast, and he's quite banterous. Then probably like Mind Game and Keshan, and then I don't know. It's hard, but they're the main three top dogs in my opinion. Their voice acting skill is like just next level. You can't even tell it's them with some of the stuff. Like I remember one of Mind Game's pirate videos. I could not tell that he was the pirate at all. I thought he was really great, and he can fit loads of roles. He can fit a comedy. He can fit serious stuff. He can fit like like things that are like a balance of comedy and seriousness. But with your voice acting, I thought it was quite funny in his thack when you were like, "When the hell is what's his?" I can't remember what you said, but I'll try and remember. It was something like, "When the hell is Godot getting here?" or something.
Yeah.
Like the classical theatre fan. Who's Godot? What's that all about? Or am I pronouncing it wrong?
I think it's Godot. To be honest, I don't really know.
It's just something Mind Game knows. I'm guessing then.
Well, yeah, I think it's something to do with theatre.
Fair enough. I just found it quite funny. I thought you played that bit quite well, to be fair. And the way he animated the character just looking really chilled out and like, mellow on the island. I was going to ask though, man, has there been many times when you've like just like next level surprised yourself on Thack or Brawl when you've been like, damn, I pulled this off,
Yeah, pretty much every ball.
Okay, fairs.
I think pretty much every ball I've done, like the 3 I've done, I kind of feel like, oh yeah, actually, I managed to do all this,
Mm-hmm.
And I can slowly sort of. I think what is quite fun with Brawl, like going back to that again, I think is that you can, when it goes well, you can slowly, gradually see it coming together, like as the week goes on,
yeah.
And it kind of encourages you to keep going, even if you feel tired.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see like you've got a good like couple of minutes or whatever already, and you kind of think, yeah, just keep going. It's going so well. I definitely felt that with Loop TV as I was continuing it. Like at first, I remember I had to do a temp voice before Mind Game kind of did it, and again talking about like not having the same like versatility. I wasn't quite sure. I knew it was only a temp voice. I didn't really try that hard. But then when Mind Game did his part, and like I kind of like I had that in and stuff. I was like, oh yeah, this is actually so much better. It's elevated that scene so much. And then I was just kind of like, I was trying to practice. I was trying to do more of a kind of cartoonish animation style, and I did the interrogation scenes, and I tried to do more kind of like film noir kind of lighting and stuff. And it was very much more way more stylized than anything I'd tried to do before. And I was just like, wow, this is coming out really well. And I think and as well, because the interrogation scene was like the vast majority of it, by the time I'd finished that, it was like I had like 80% of the film. And I was just like, I think the way that the lighting worked out and everything, I was just like, yeah, this is coming together so well. And I think by that point I was just like, yeah, this is like, I can't believe I did it.
Class, man. Absolutely awesome.
Also, another one where I was really pleased with. It was the first ever Brawl I did, which was Busker's Opus, and I animated.
That was the wasn't that the piano one?
Yeah,
the dude's on the street, then he gets mugged, that was awesome, man.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, with that, I was trying to find some kind of like reference animation for piano, because there was actually very few Brick films with like piano playing, and all I could find, I think Penta I asked Penta, like, have you got any do you know any Brick films with piano playing? And the one he showed, it was just like right, I was like, oh well, okay. I think it was maybe like an arm going up and down, and that was the playing. I was like, okay, so I kind of like made this up myself.
But you made it more like
yeah, so I was actually playing it,
like
I was
soft
actually
and gentle,
because I actually kind of like know how I actually can play the piano, not like very well, but I
Oh, you
kind of
actually
know
recorded that yourself? Sorry, I thought you meant the animation. You was trying to like copy someone's animation, and the animation wasn't good when they were playing
no,
the
yeah,
piano. Sorry.
I was, yeah, no, I did, yeah. It
Ah,
was,
okay.
but like some brick film for like 2005 or something. But yeah, I created my own like version, like, my own sort of like animation kind of for that. So that's probably like some of the best like uh in like animation I've probably done actually.
Mhm.
Because I feel like even now I look at it in the way that he's kind of like he exaggerates, you know, when it's like a more like more powerful part of the piece, and like that I was really happy with.
Mhm. Awesome, man. What would you say appeals to you the most about brick filming? Because if I've asked this in the podcast we did months ago, then I'm sorry, but yeah, what would you say appeals to you the most about brick filming?
Um, I think it's mostly just being able to tell a large scale story and without having to have like a massive budget or have all the
Awesome, fair play.
inconveniences of like, you know, live action in real life. Like you could just pretty
Mhm.
much just do anything. You could create a whole like fantasy world, and you can make
Yeah,
entire season, and it's like you can do something at such a big scale, but with such a small scale, you know.
yeah,
And like I love being able to do that because that you can't. It's hard to do that, even like I don't know, animating it in a say like CGI without a lot of skill, or I guess I mean even brick filming is you have to have a lot of skill to do it. But like when you can do it, it's like yeah, I mean like it's us, it's the imagination is pretty much the limit, you know.
Mhm. Fair comment, man. Fair comment. What would you say the number one podcast you've done then? If no, actually, personal favorite. That's better. If you just had to pick one or two or three.
I mean, I love the episode with Ed Bounds. That was just so
Yeah,
great.
that flowed really well.
Like it just boosted the. I mean, aside from anything, it boosted the like the viewership of the podcast so much.
Yeah,
Um,
he put it on his community page and he put it in his Discord, and that's how I found out
it, it,
about the channel.
within like about 10 minutes, it gained like 1,000 views. I was like,
Epic,
what?
man. That
Yeah,
is some
so
next level stuff.
it was just generally it put a massive smile on my face. I was just so yeah,
Yeah.
I was amazed.
Well,
I mean, I love.
I thought I
Yeah,
was just
sorry.
going to say I thought like when I first watched the video after, I think it was on like 1,400 at the time. And I was like, man, this podcast is massive. How have I not heard of it before about brick filming? Because I thought no one had done a brick filming podcast yet. Then I clicked on the channel and I was like, damn, these haven't got loads of views, but they've got big people on. And I was listening to them and I was like, man, this deserves way more views. What the hell's going on? But I suppose either a lot of people's audiences aren't really that active. Like Forest Fire 101, most people come in from the Duck Song. But he has got a playlist of things that he's been involved in, and your thing is on there, so
I know.
that's cool.
I mean, I love his episode as well. I think that was great.
That was
And
yeah,
we also
definitely.
got at the end of the episode we got Sean Winnitz to like
He rolled up on his lunch break, total
yeah,
king.
it was so cool, like having both of them together.
That is really good of him, man. That is like really generous to come on your lunch break to like roll up. That is just cool.
Yeah, well, I think he was messaging because he was in like an episode by himself once, and
Yeah,
then afterwards he was like, "Oh, I want to go back onto the podcast," and he loved it so much. I was like, "Oh yeah, okay then," and I thought that was like the perfect episode, just bring them together. It was great, and trying to think like other one. I mean, there's so many ones. I mean, I pretty much love them all.
yeah.
Um,
I thought he was
like,
going to put Jurassic Bricks up there. To be fair, because that one was epic. I know
yeah,
I've said
I
like
mean,
50 times, but
I feel like as soon as we finished that episode, like we just finished recording, and I was like, well, that was like the most like that was like the best kind of like that was like the perfect episode in some ways, because it's kind of
yeah,
like everything stayed on topic. Everything, we had so many different topics, but we didn't stay on them for too long. We were like, you know, every 10 minutes would be something new, and it was just like we didn't have to kind of steer away because, you know, sometimes we get a bit off topic, whatever. But like it was just like, it was like the perfect length, and And when I came to actually editing it, I didn't know how to do a whole lot of editing to it really. I mean, I do a lot of editing as it is, but like, you know, cleaning up stuff. But like, there wasn't a whole lot of like trimming I had to do because it was just everything was so good, you know.
That's probably the best one then, objectively. I mean, as I
Yeah,
said
exactly.
before, like there was and probably subjectively as well, because I was just so engaged. I was like, man, this is just awesome. Everything's just on point. Well, the other ones were good, but I feel like I didn't know anything about Jurassic Bricks. I watched a bit of his brick films in the past, not many, but I remember on a Discord call you said, "Oh yeah, we're gonna have Jurassic Bricks on soon." And then I typed in, I was like, "Oh man, he's got hundreds of millions of views." And I clicked on the video, I was like, "Man, this is actually good considering it's got hundreds of millions of views."
Yeah,
So like but no, people knew more about Edbound and Forest, so that's probably so you sort of expect them to do well. But not many people probably knew Jurassic Bricks as a person, unless he does loads of content where he's talking to people on his channel. I don't know, but he talked really well. He sounded like a really passionate guy. He sounded a lot
yeah.
like Vince Gilligan, the director of Breaking Bad, which was cool, which was very cool.
I mean, I think it's always interesting. I think I imagine at least anyway for like for the viewers or listeners rather when it's somebody who, you know, I mean, if you do know them, that you don't necessarily know them. They're not necessarily that active on social media or anything like
Yeah,
that. Anything like that. So I think it's always really nice to hear like what they're like, you know,
definitely.
and I think that was the case with like Panzerhat as well. Like people didn't know, like he hadn't. That was the first time he'd ever done anything like that, and it was kind of, it felt like we were doing something a bit unprecedented. We had got somebody and that had never, you know, actually been in a podcast before, you know, or anything. Um, and so yeah, I think that those episodes are always really interesting.
Well, are you up for doing legit or a bit? Do you remember the line game last time?
Oh yeah,
Um, you game or
yeah,
awesome, man?
yeah, sure, yeah.
All right
Do you
then.
want to go first?
Sure. All right then. So in school, I shouted "Wee!" and the teacher shouted at me. I can't believe I can't do it. Wee! Oh, what the hell? I was doing a high pitched voice earlier. How can I not do it? I'm gutted. I'm absolutely gutted. But yeah, I did a high pitch. Wee! I can't. Oh, I can't do it as high pitch as I wanted it. Wee! Oh, I can't do it. But I was like, wee! And and the teacher shouted at me. So what happened was, it was like when I was like 14, and it was like an enrichment day. Did you have any of them in like Bulgaria or in Wales or?
No, no.
Oh well, basically on enrichment day, it'd just be random nonsense, and we was doing some stuff with paper, and we had to clean it all up. And we had to like clean it all up, and I just kept ripping up a small piece of paper for ages and ages and ages, and then I put it into my hands, and then I went. The teacher was talking. All right, then. So we've got it all cleaned up. Blah blah blah. This and then I went. Whee! And then she went. James, pick it up. And anyway, I picked it all up. I'm surprised the teacher got so annoyed. I picked it all up and put it in the bin. So, what do you think, truth or lie?
I feel like you didn't stumble or anything, so I'm gonna say it sounds real. I don't know. I'm gonna say it's true.
Well done, William. That was quite a hard one. In my opinion, because I kept
Yeah.
laughing. I kept trying to throw you off, but it sounded like a funny story that I could laugh at. So it was very. That was fair play. Have you got one then?
Yeah, sure. I don't think I've ever told the story actually before.
Lie. No.
So I used to have a sleepwalking problem, and once I woke up like across the street from my house, and I was just like, I was just sitting like on the pavement, and I was just, yeah, that's. I guess that's pretty much the story.
What the hell? Oh no! The thing is, the good thing, because I did one with George, right? And me and George have been doing legit in a bit for ages. I know this is really off topic, but it's sort of on topic. We did legit in a bit for ages, and we were on par with each other for ages. He kept telling the truth or lying, and I got his right, and he got mine right for ages and ages and ages. I remember I stumped him on the first three, then he beat me once, and then I stumped him again. Then we were just toe to toe for ages. But then on our last episode, what was it? The online buying and selling. We actually talk about selling Lego in there, which if anyone's interested, go and check out the online buying and selling one. Sorry to plug the podcast on my own podcast, but yeah. So he said one like, I typed in a chat something like fat elf, and then it was some really weird obscure thing, and I said, well, and I thought about it deeply, and I thought, why the fuck would anyone laugh at that? So I said, like, and he said, no, it's true. I'm like, well, you've all got the shitty sense of humour ever then. I was like, why the hell would anyone laugh at that? And I said, George, that was the cheapest one ever. And he was like, it's tactics. But this one is genuinely good. This one is like, oh. What was your reaction when you woke up?
I was just like genuinely just like completely like, what the fuck is going on? Like I was so confused. It was like, I think it was like 15, and I was just kind of like, I don't know how long. I mean, I have no idea how long I was like. 1 minute, I was just like, I was in my bed, and then suddenly I was just like, waking up like that. And I think it was kind of like 6 in the morning or something, and I woke up, and it was just like I feel really cold, and I was just like, wait, I'm not actually in my bed. I'm just like, I'm not even in the bloody house. Like, what the hell?
What? Do you still have this sleeping problem now?
No, I haven't had it for like 3 years. Like,
what did your parents think when you got back in?
I didn't tell them for ages. I think I told them like I get like a week or so later. I was like, oh yeah, I was just like,
this is really hard. This is really difficult. Oh, it's just a bit of fun. It's just a bit of fun. I'm gonna go for true.
It was a lie.
You.
I actually haven't had a sequel. I actually made that up.
Man, well done. Because I was thinking to myself, oh, we told a really obscure story last time, which ended up being true. So,
yeah, I couldn't think of anything that was like. I had to think it on the spot, and I was just thinking, yeah, that's kind of like a sort of weird thing that would happen.
That was a massive fair play.
Thank you.
That was a massive fair play. At least that one actually took a bit of skill. At least that one was actually good. It wasn't like I typed a comment and everyone, the chat respected it. Again, George, you're not watching this, but if you are watching this, that wasn't a good legit or a bit. That was just weird. But,
yeah.
Man, that.
I mean, I did actually. I mean, I guess I had one thing like that. I don't know if this is a bit. I'm just going to say this because it's actually something that actually happened.
Oh, okay.
And because I guess it's kind of like that, commenting something. Before Discord, like before we used Discord on the forums, we used to have a thing called IRC chat, and it was a much more like primitive like chat. And you could basically, all you had to do was you had to be signed into the forums, and then you could just be any name, and those are people used to just pretend to be other people, just for a laugh. And I decided once to pretend to be a brick filmer who hadn't been around for hadn't been on the chat for like 2 years. I was like, hey everybody, and I was telling them all about these like films that I was going to be making and all this kind of stuff.
Never mind.
A good like half an hour of talking, and then for some reason I left there, and people were saying you wouldn't believe who was here, and I said, oh, it was me, and they banned me for like 30 days.
I don't blame them. How old were you, man? Out of interest.
I was I was 15.
Oh, that makes sense then. That makes sense, man. I thought
what
you
I
meant
was
like you
used
did this like 7 months ago. That's why I was a bit like, oh, for God's sake.
Yeah, that's why I wasn't doing any podcasts for a while. No.
You just going around pretending to be other people. But yeah, I mean I did sort of something similar years ago. I got this Red versus Blue.
No.
Oh, it's this famous show on the internet, made by Rooster Teeth, and I got someone to pretend to be Bernie Burns, the guy who owns Rooster Teeth, or who did own. I think another guy owns it now. It's the dude who plays Sarge. I can't remember, but I said, this dude's from Red versus Blue. He'll make one of your machinimas to one of my friends. And then they were just talking for ages. And I said, oh, mate, it's a load of bullshit. Have you not watched the show? Like, Bernie Burns isn't Australian. This was a New Zealand guy. Bernie Burns isn't from New Zealand. He was like, oh, how dare you? How dare you? I was so excited. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm thinking, why would a fully grown man who's in his 30s be talking to some 13-year-olds about getting their machinima on board? Oh... It was just ridiculous.
I just think similar. I mean, another fun thing with the IRC thing chat was if you just put a hashtag and put like a name, if it was a name of another chat, you'd automatically go onto that chat. Was really insecure.
That's really mad.
But I used to go onto different different chats and pretend to be famous people. And once I think. I pretended to be an actor from EastEnders, but I didn't even realize. I didn't really think it through because everyone was from America and had no idea what
you mugged yourself off there, bro. Sorry.
I also did another thing once where I want to point out I would encourage people to do this. I was really dumb. I was like 15, but there was once when I tagged somebody in a chat and said, "Oh, hey, it's me, Steve," and they're like, "Who?" And I said, "Oh, you remember I was at your wedding?" And it's like, "What wedding?" And like, your wedding was Laura. I was I was on the bride's side, and I was just like, I had this whole like story claiming to have known this guy, and and then I think eventually they realised that I was just full of shit and they just kicked me out of the chat. Oh yeah, I once went on to another story. I went on to I went onto a chat on my phone and on my computer as two people, and I had a row with myself.
I mean, witty banter, I guess, for 15-year-old, I suppose. Fair enough. Pretty funny. What was people's reaction to the row?
Well, I think they eventually realised that that it was the same IP address, and then and it's like, yeah, and they realised I was full of shit. But then I then sort of tried to come up with the twist. Oh, it's my neighbour, or something. It's my flatmate. He keeps trolling me.
The thing is, I would not expect you to have been the way you are. Like that, I know you. I wouldn't have expected you to do any of this daft stuff. Like I only did like a few pranks, and I probably acted 10 times more daft than you did. But I don't know. Not that it's a bad thing because we all do daft stuff when we're young. But I wouldn't expect this from you, man. That's pretty funny, pretty cool.
Yeah, I'd like to cause a lot of trouble when I was younger.
Yeah. Final topic then, bro. Oh yeah, this has been the longest podcast, by the way. StreamYards is usually a few 30 seconds or a few minutes behind. We're currently at 1 minute 58 and 45 seconds, longest podcast. Nice. So, final topic. These are two of my favorite. Well, not favorite, but like people sort of from my childhood. Gareth Pugh, Spudsy, however you say his name, or Spudstu. I don't know. I never knew how to pronounce his name, but Gareth Pugh, he's called now. He hasn't made a proper brick film in years, but he did make a computer brick film a few years ago, which looked amazing. The There's another person I want to mention, but do you think you'd ever get Gareth Pugh on? I know he's been on the Four Monkeys before.
Yeah, he's the one that did Squad 42, isn't he?
Yeah, Squad 42. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely someone that I think we could have on. Yeah.
Good thing about him is that he's like well, he's from London, so same time zone, which is a big help.
Well, it's funny, but again, not to sort of derail the conversation, but Jacob Crow, he was actually the first guy from Britain that we've had on the podcast, which is quite funny. So it was the first time we had everybody in the same time zone.
Epic, man. Epic.
But no, yeah, you're saying.
I was going to mention another one of my favourites, Pizza Movies. Do you think you'd ever be able to get in touch with him and have him talk? Because he owes the fans an explanation for not making that war brick film, man. He owes us all no, I'm joking. But it'd be nice to hear him talk and just see how he's doing, really. I'm not asking for like him to vlog himself, just, come and talk. Do you reckon you guys could try and get in touch with him and do a podcast, or is it too hard? Or
Yeah, I'm sure. Again, like, because we've got more podcasts coming up now, probably more and more people we could try and get on the show. So yeah, definitely someone that we could have on.
Yeah, man. I mean, even though this is weird, because obviously this is recording, it's weird to talk about, like, well, not weird, but like, it's just stuff I thought I'd bring up and ask, and it's cool to get it on podcast, I suppose. But thing is, I don't know if he's in Bricks in Motion, but I know he'd have a Discord and he put it on his community page, and I was months and months too late because obviously I don't really watch much pizza movies anymore. I watched the what's it called? Grunt's pilot episodes again, but all the other stuff I don't really watch that much because it's not really that well made compared to nowadays stuff. It's all right. Well, it was good for when it came out, but I was going to say though, if you can't find him on Discord, if you get Gareth Pugh on, ask Gareth Pugh, and then maybe he can get you in contact with him, because Gareth Pugh was in his Brick film, so maybe Gareth Pugh would be game to help you get him on.
Yeah.
I'm assuming they're still friends because he was in a few of his Brick films, but I could be totally wrong. If they're not, then that's quite a shame.
Give that a shot, yeah.
I think he's does something to do with the AG Tech or Ag Tech, whatever it's called, business finance stuff. Now he said, "I'm a business finance sellout," so he's just doing, which is fair play, Brick filming. I'm not knocking pizza. Have you seen many pizza movies films?
I haven't, no, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, thing is,
I know of him. I know, but yeah, I haven't watched this stuff actually.
Thing is with him, right? I would like to see him come back and talk, just to see how his life is going. But I wouldn't want him to come back and do a Brick film because they're not. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just like the problem is if you don't Brick film for ages and ages, and you've already, because some of his videos have like millions upon millions of views, and when you've already had all that success, are you really going to come back and try and improve massively? Maybe, but when you've been out of it so long, you've already been there and done that. I don't know, and I just feel like I'd be a lot more sad if like Mind Game just hopped on and left. If that's the point I'm trying to make. Like, it's not the worst thing ever that pizza movie's left. He was fun, part of my childhood, all that jazz. But it'd be a lot more sad if like a top tier Brick filmer left and didn't really give us a finale.
Yeah.
I think if Brick filmers leave, I don't blame them, but I would like a finale out of them, just some sort of see ya, I think that'd be nice. But yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. To be honest, I haven't really got any more questions. Oh wait, no, final one. What's the highest you've came in Thack and Brawl? That was it.
Never placed in Thack.
What? Not even top 10 or 15?
No. I mean,
that's.
I've only ever made a film that's actually a serious entry once.
Most of them are memes, aren't they?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's so many entries. I'm not like there's like 80 or so every year. So it's like I'm not really. I get it.
What about Brawl?
Well, I think I came fifth. I came fifth place twice in a row now.
Nice.
In 2019 and 2020. So technically, because it was the biggest brawl ever last year. Technically, I'd say the 2021 counts as being closer than the the 2019
Where
one
did you
because
come? Fifth, did you say?
yeah.
Both times.
But I think
Well,
there was like double the entries in 2020, so
yeah.
technically it's kind of like being.
I guess
It
that's
means
more of
more.
an achievement. I guess, but as I say, man. So the 2019 one was Orchestral Palette, or was it a different one?
Yeah, 2019. Yeah.
That deserves fifth, and obviously Luke TV, that was class, so that deserves fifth. It's awesome, to be fair, to placing these things. It's quite awesome, and it must be, as I said, with Brawl, it's just a healthy grind, a healthy hard grind. Well, Thack, it's like, you know.
Yeah.
So I was going to bring up one thing though, how is he called Daddy Monkey or Father Monkey? The man in the Four Monkeys.
Yeah. I think it might be Daddy Monkey. Yeah.
Because I just didn't want to like get it wrong. I thought I'm gonna sound like an idiot saying Daddy Monkey if it's not Daddy Monkey. But
I think
he said how years ago, like your brick films didn't really have to be that good because, and like, didn't he come first in one of them? And he said it wasn't even anywhere near his best work. He said,
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
but to be able to brick film good in like 2005 to 2010 is quite an achievement. But like anyone nowadays can get the stop motion app, and make something and set it to 15 frames a second. But back then it was harder. But I suppose, in a sense, if you grasp it back then and you got the stuff you needed to get, you could do well. But then coming into the new age of brick film where things are more advanced and better, it's probably quite hard to adapt because you're so used to doing what you're doing, and what you did back then isn't enough. You need to like up the boundaries. And also he's probably very busy because he's a family man, which is cool. So I mean, he was a family man back then, but he's probably more busy now, I'm assuming, now that his kids are older, growing up. So, yeah, I guess we can wrap up very nicely there. Thank you so much, William. Much
Yeah, that's all right.
appreciated.
Yeah, thank you for having me back on. Yeah.
No problem, boss. I think eventually, like, it'd be cool if you come on again, but the thing is, right, I just want to say to everyone, when I have people on multiple times, it's because there's more to talk about. And I think we've covered loads and loads and loads of stuff. But I think once you made a few more brick films, and I'll come up with more questions. There'll probably be some stuff to talk about within like a year, maybe. But yeah, man, this one was just awesome in my opinion. So, yeah.
Thank you.
So yeah, if you got this far, thanks so much for watching. And yeah, I'll see you all in the next one.
Bye, guys.